Hello and welcome to another week, after a few missing weeks, of the Abusecartoons Livestream. Good to see everyone. And yeah, hopefully, hopefully I'll be found again after this long absence. I apologize. There was an office move, and a couple of the days that things were scheduled coincided with streaming days, so there was no way to do both. But it's all done. So, and I've already started drawing, sorry, before the stream. I was waiting for things to get going. But hope everyone is doing well. And yeah, I don't know what I should do about my schedule. Maybe do a straw here. Yeah, but the streaming schedule, if there's a better day or time. So with the new situation, I might, rethink things. Bring the tablet and everything, because this is all the pandemic setup still. And maybe I should bring stuff back to the office and stream in the natural light, and should be a little less noisy with the new setup. We're further away from traffic, so we'll see. But that's where it all began, right? Taking it back to where it all started, the office in Osaka. All right. Do they have cans of juice? I guess they probably do, right? Little metal cans. But yeah, we'll see how things fit. I need to, I think, kind of refresh. Now with the moving into a new space, refresh everything that I'm doing so I get more excited about it again. Because, yeah, I think I'm still in that kind of limited excitement mode from the lockdown, and not wanting to make any plans or anything. Yeah, that really shut stuff down. It was funny because things were building at that time, especially for the other podcast and YouTube channel. Things were building up and gaining momentum, and that just killed everything. Gonna do some traveling and everything, and now with the yen so weak to the dollar and the inflation in the US, it's just silly. It's just a waste of everything to get excited about that. So my family's definitely not happy about that. We'll see. We'll see how long this goes on. I'm not sure why it's good for tourism, but other than that, I don't know. Or maybe exports. Export sales to the U.S. are benefited by this weak yen. And funny enough, I'll show you guys when they come out, but there's new money. In July, Japan is going to change their money. And it looks pretty terrible. It looks very cold and mechanical. It doesn't have that same sort of complicated scroll work and the kind of the etching kind of work that they do, that plate etching that they do on money. It has a lot less of that, and I think the faces that they're putting on the new money are all like business leaders and stuff, industrialists. So previously on Japanese money was a lot of writers, a lot of Japanese writers, and so kind of the creative field. So I think they're switching over to business. Hopefully business on their money will be good luck. I don't know. Yeah, but it's odd, especially changing the money at a time when it's so worthless. It's pretty funny. Yeah, right now it's close to 160 yen to the dollar. So that means if you're thinking like a yen to a penny, yen to a cent, it's almost a 60% penalty for using yen to buy stuff. But now with the American inflation, the costs of things between the US and Japan is more equal. So yeah, that yen to the cent works much better for the value of things now, because yeah, you're paying those prices. What they used to pay here in the 90s, this weird inflated price for fast food and coffee and everything, now you're paying in America too. And I always thought that was because it was overpriced because it was, kind of considered a luxury good or something that you shouldn't spend your money on anyhow. Because basic food costs, energy costs are very high, but food costs and everything are very reasonable here. You can eat for nothing. You can eat for very little money and if you buy fresh food every day. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I just thought it was a very funny timing for money, redesigning the money. I don't know if that's going to get people to spend it. Actually, it's probably just going to get people saving the old one, saving the old version. All right. There we go. Hey, Matt, how's it going? And Unknown Girl, good to see you guys. Good to see you. All right. Yeah, thinking small. I guess cartons. Yeah, juice and flavored milks and things come in cartons. So we'll do one of those like short half and half cartons. Yeah, I'm trying to think what other kind of... This is way too small. What other kind of juicy stuff there is. I was listening to a clip from a pretty big content creator on YouTube for movie content, like movie reviews, and he also does gaming streams and stuff. And has been really successful at it, and is just at kind of a physical crossroads because, like, during his 20s, he was able to just sit endlessly and crank stuff out, and now is dealing with a lot of tendinitis and pain, joint pain and sciatica and stuff, and is only in his 30s. So it's brutal to get obsessed with like growing a brand and actually providing enough content to build things up. And he was saying that his budget for editors just on like stuff that just needs to generate money, not the longer essay format videos and stuff that he cares about and wants to have like total creative control over, but has like a $7,000 a month budget for editors to get other content out. So it's one of those things that it just sounds like there's no way to escape it. Like once you've built up those expectations and things for fans, and once you've figured out what works and doesn't work for your brand and in the algorithm and everything, you're stuck doing that. And I think a lot of people have just decided they're going to just throw a lot of trash out there to generate the revenue to do the things that they want to do more slowly. But that's really hard. Yeah, that's a really hard, really difficult balance. And I noticed that too when we did the internet business in the late 90s. That was the same thing too. As we grew, our expenses grew so much so that it wasn't, when you're looking at the actual money coming in, it's amazing. And then when you look at what's going out, you're like, oh, that's pretty big too. So as you grew, so there was like a sweet spot that I think we missed. And I think that's a difficult thing to pull off, is finding that like the size and like kind of activity level, production level of what you're doing, as opposed to like what it's earning, because you get to this point where it's like diminished returns. And so even though you do more, less comes in. So it's actually like per hour, whatever, however you're going to put a value on it, it's actually less and less and less. And there's no calculation, there's no thinking about the physical costs. So having like health issues that'll be around forever, that unless he takes years off, in which case his brand is dead, will be around forever. So yeah, interesting stuff. I think there's, after this kind of cools down, or like, we're watching just AI generated garbage and no humans are involved anymore, it'll be interesting to look back and see like what people put themselves through, the same way like professional wrestling or whatever, like all the behind the scenes, like horrible things that people do to themselves to pull off a performance or to give an audience what they want. I think that'll be interesting to see what YouTube content people went through, because there's just this constant demand. And I even noticed that even in early days of internet, daily was almost impossible, but that's what people wanted back in the day. And that's why I started doing this, even in the early 2000s, it was going to be a daily cartoon because that was the only way to generate interest. But that's just hard to pull off. And now, especially for the business model that I'm using and stuff, I don't think it would, the Go Comics website and stuff, I don't think it makes any difference. I would make the same money doing it how I'm doing it now as opposed to daily. So yeah, that's frustrating because I always wanted this to be daily again, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make it worth it. It's just, ego, whatever. It's just your pride fucking with you. I got hey. Yeah, Matt saying, oh, yep, the hardest part of that is sort of determining what your time should be worth. Yeah. Same with people selling. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's been the most frustrating thing for me, is when pricing, design work or illustration work. It's amazing the range of people's expectations. Because Chris, my co-host on the weekly, sometimes it's Matt, asked me to do a logo to use for I think it was for a business reason. It was for a identity business reason. I said, well, this is what I normally charge. And the response that she gave was just like, I just spit up my coffee looking at that number. That's insanely, that was not what I was expecting at all. It was way too high. And so when you're dealing with, deviant art people and the internet people, and I think it's because their time is worth less because people that are open for commissions and stuff on their, furry illustration websites, their time is not worth much of anything because they don't have any expenses. They're probably living at home. They've got 5 roommates, whatever. Their monthly expenses are pretty low. So time is not worth much money. And, now with things like Fiverr and everything, like the expectations are so low, and it was already getting ridiculous with what human labor was worth to do, like, logo designs or digital layout or whatever. It was already so low that now with the introduction of, AI and these like weird templates and stuff, like building in all this stuff to just spew stuff out. Now, I think it's probably even worse when you're trying to negotiate a price. Yeah, that's where I've always fallen down a lot with dealing with bigger companies and not knowing what they're used to and what their expenses are, because we used to. So here's the day back in the day. So 2 minutes of flash animation was $10,000 once upon a time. Imagine that, because it was coming from the cost of TV animation, and once things were digital, the price didn't really change that much. They're still considering it animation, but flash animation was a lot of computer in-betweening and stuff. So you're not drawing 12 frames a second. You're drawing a few different images that are like a digital paper doll or like a puppet, and it moves, moves around just based on curves and things that you're giving it in software. So it doesn't move very naturally. And but the price stayed high. So I remember in the 90s getting paid good money, very good money to do flash animation. Now you can't even watch flash animation. Now flash animation doesn't exist. And so I watched that though in the course of maybe like 5 years, go from $10,000 for 2 minutes to $500 for 2 minutes. This is amazing. Yeah, so I've already experienced that kind of thing, and now, now you couldn't even. It's very difficult. You got to transfer everything to dynamic HTML or whatever, and whatever the best conversion is for Flash content for people to even see it. You basically have to make it all over again for people to even see the stuff that was done back then, which is a shame because there was a lot of fun, like creative stuff done with that very limited software. But now, yeah, with illustration and stuff, it's getting to be very similar. But I did have a thought about like a kind of hopeful, white pill, hopeful perspective about AI and how it can serve artists, at least in their thinking or their approach. And this would probably be people that are like earlier on in their formation of their style and how they want to work and things, is AI, I think, is very useful, of course, because it's only going back and kind of, patchwork, pastiching, kind of collaging things that have already existed. And so it works a lot like, very hacky, very like low level designers would work, is they would just rip off other people's stuff as quickly as possible to get paid. So so I think AI is very useful for working artists to look at and to know that if your stuff looks anything like this, you're not doing your job. You should be beyond this already. You should be doing work that is another level. You shouldn't do something that looks like it was just pulled, pieces pulled from previous work and previous ideas. You should be moving on to something new. And hopefully that is a useful tool, to keep to maybe push things a little further and innovate a little harder, so people don't just stick with their same old tricks. They innovate a style or innovate some techniques to go beyond what just digging up the corpses of previously published work on the internet can do. I think that the Frankenstein thing is very accurate. It's definitely AI is just definitely Frankensteining existing things. So yeah, hopefully that's that's kind of a positive take on it, and it's something that I think could be useful if you're looking at stuff generated by AI art, and you got to discount the 80% of people that look at it and say, wow, that's great. That's amazing. Because yeah, it is. Originally, it was amazing when the people first did that work and it was first posted on the internet. That was the latest, greatest. That was, the best that they could do at the time. And now, it shows people's like maybe a lack of knowledge of like range of techniques or the capabilities of like digital painting and art production and things. That is so incredible because it's already existed. That's already been and gone, basically. And it should be on to the next thing. And so I'm getting really depressed too now. The entire and they keep promoting it like it's so wonderful. The entire Adobe suite, the Creative Suite, is all going to have AI embedded. And I think the only reason that they're doing that, it's not because those are useful tools. It's just because it will be something that you can't pirate. Like access to their AI engine is something that you can't. So a lot of people aren't paying for Photoshop. They're just, using a hacked version of it that doesn't talk to the Adobe servers. You don't log in when you use it. So you're not using the subscription. So if you want the AI tools, you have to use the subscription. It's it's non-negotiable, basically. So I really think just like everything that's being pushed on us, there's an ulterior motive that it's not the utility of what we think we're getting. It's the underlying thing it makes us do. So it's going to make everybody pay $50 a month if you want to be using these tools, which may not even be all that useful. I haven't seen, because usually their demos, they try to do something impressive, and I haven't seen any demos that Adobe has put out, you're just like swapping out background. I mean, you're just in a faster way. You're like erasing things from photographs or swapping out backgrounds, maybe a little bit faster. But if there's any sort of AI artifact in that, then your work could be invalidated. People could just say, "Oh yeah, it's AI generated, so it's garbage." And yeah, like we saw that on the weekly, we talked about a guy that did an artist, a mysterious unnamed artist that did all the character work or the card artwork for a specific company, and they were paying him like $9,000, $10,000 a month for about 10 days of work. He was saying it took, so it worked out to like $1,500 an hour, but that, just like the Flash animation thing, that thing is quickly going to tumble to $10 an hour. It's going to be a ridiculous amount of loss of value. But yeah, and that's always been the case. I remember feeling that when I first had artwork stolen on the internet. Oh yeah, they can always get that. There's always going to be a way for people, because I had stuff like on a subscription page and stuff that should have been protected, and people would just get a membership and then put it on their page. And I remember those days and thinking, well, the only thing I have is that I can do the new stuff and they can't, so I'll always be able to have stuff out there first. And I guess then it's just a battle of marketing or visibility, findability, SEO. But that was the only comfort you have is, yeah, but you've got the next thing. You're capable of creating the next thing, and they're only capable of stealing what you've already put out there. Yeah, because nothing is unduplicatable, you can steal everything digitally. There's no way to protect something completely. All right, I'm drawing little boxes. Unknown Girl saying, yeah, AI stuff is crazy. It seemed people have been making covers of, music AI, yeah, using singers' voices who passed away. You can really ruin someone's life using the voice. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not saying it never looks quite right. There's like an uncanny valley of it. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be like that for a while. There's going to have to be some breakthrough where they start to, whatever they're feeding this or however it's processing it, there's like some, that essence, there's like some missing essence to what AI is capable of doing. So it always has that weird, not quite right feeling. So I think it's going to be like that for a while, but it seems like a lot of people, it just doesn't bother. There's so many people that, and people like in decision-making, money controlling positions are like, oh, it looks great. So it's going to be some dark times, but yeah, I don't think anybody doing creative work ever expected things to be easy or for them to get rich doing anything. So they're going to continue to suffer as they always have. But yeah, just keeps on going. Yeah, it's very, very strange. I think, and I'm really getting disappointed too that I guess I just got to start using another search engine. But the results for Google, like the top result is its weird AI generated text. And I look at that first. I'm like, I shouldn't be looking at this. I know this is crap. I know this is, contaminated garbage, because who knows, what it's sourcing for any of this stuff it's spewing at you. I really hate that they're just trying to normalize that those crap paragraphs that could be completely misinformed or inaccurate based on what you're searching for. It's just they're taking advantage of people's laziness, I think. I can't move my eyes down, a few inches. I'm just going to read this first result. It sucks. It really sucks. Matt, I got with my Xbox Game Pass, or I think it's called PC Game Pass now. I got 2 months. It's till July, so three. No, no, two. It's 2 months. Um, until July, I've got Apple Plus, so I'm gonna try to catch up on some stuff. So the first thing I watched on Apple Plus was because I missed it in the theaters here, the Killers of the Flower Moon. And that was a haul. That was a long haul. I'm glad I didn't go to see that in the theater because it's like 3.5 hours, getting on its way to 4 hours. So that would be a pretty brutal movie going experience. But yeah, I was glad I saw it. It wasn't what I expected at all. And I can see, you can see in that story what Scorsese was attracted to. Because it was just like people being being shitty and killing each other. Just that, same way like in Goodfellas and stuff, just people turn on each other and just everything goes to hell when there's money to be made, money to be protected. But yeah, I thought that he did an interesting job portraying the time and the culture clash. I don't know if I've seen it done so honestly and kind of straightforward, like the white men using alcohol to manipulate, the people that had money that they wanted to take advantage of, and just the way that people talk to each other. I know you're. So the basic story, without spoiling anything, the basic story is about a tribe that was thrown off their lands and given a small reservation in, I think, Oklahoma, and they were named the Osage, and I think from the mountains that they ended up settling near, they were a river, and then they discovered oil on that land, and so then at that time in history, like per capita, they became the richest people on earth, basically because of such small tribe and such sudden wealth. So then, of course, everything started moving against them. The banks said, "Oh, you're not safe. You got to put your money in the banks," and then they started to determine different members of the tribe competent or incompetent. So the incompetents had to ask the bank for money for their expenses, and the bank could decide whether or not to give them their funds. It was amazing. So so this incredibly wealthy, suddenly wealthy, small Native American tribe that then mysteriously starts dying, and they start intermarrying with white Americans, and start being mysteriously killed, either getting wasting diseases or just suddenly committing suicide with a bullet in the back of their head. So it's the story of the attempt to, kind of grab that wealth, away from those people. And they really reinforced a couple of interesting things that I hadn't seen in movies before, in portrayals between kind of culture clash between Western European Americans and Native Americans, is the difference in thinking and the just built in assumption of inferiority. There were so many people that felt justified in killing these people and taking their money, and not feeling anything bad about it because they don't know how to use it. They're too simple, to be able to use this money well. So it's our responsibility to take it from them and use it on drinking and gambling. It was like most of the people were, and the way he depicted the low level of education for a lot of the Americans, the white Americans. I don't know, good terminology, but it was really interesting, the way he showed a lot of the culture clash. Not maybe from the book, maybe just dialogue or retelling situations from the book, but I hadn't really seen that before, and I think it worked really well. And you could see because the Leonardo DiCaprio character was just a piece of garbage, basically, and slipped right into his gambling and robbing ways. As soon as he arrived there and was in the employ of his uncle as a driver, he immediately tried to make extra money by doing nonsense. And but you could see at a certain point he was conflicted because he married the native woman and he loved her as a wife, but at the same time he had this responsibility to his family, and he wanted this money. So there were these weird forces at play that were like motivating what he was doing. So it's good. I think it's long. It's really long, and there's some neat things that they do to kind of show you the level of technology, communication, and then how that story was retold, like how that story like exists until this day, because it kind of ends. You get the resolution instead of like just text at the end. This happened to this guy. This happened to this guy. This happened to this guy. Their results. They do it through a radio play. There's a radio play telling the story at the very end, and that gives you like what happened in real life to these real life figures. Or I don't know. I don't know if they're 100%. If it's fictionalized history and these are the names of the real people and they're based on real figures, or if they're kind of like amalgams to tell the story. But yeah, it was really it's historically interesting. Oh, Severance. Oh, For All Mankind and Silo. Yeah, I've seen Silo. I've watched Silo. I don't know how, but I watched Silo, and I watched the first episode of Severance, and I'm trying. I'm trying to get there, but I just got to. It didn't hook me, so I'm gonna keep going and see if it. It was just maybe bad timing, because it just seemed bleak. It had a bleakness to it that I just wasn't in the mood for. I was just like, okay, people have dead wives, and okay, the traumas, yeah. So it had that like comedy, kind of dark comedy, but then tragedy. Kind of motivating some of the characters. So I got to get past that. I got to, get into, I think, further into what's going on. Because I don't think they totally explained in the first episode kind of really totally what's going on and who the characters are. But it was, a bit like, the first episode kind of bleaked me out. And I really loved I watched the trailer. Sorry. I watched the trailer for All Mankind. And I had an idea for a story a long time ago, kind of like that. I was thinking of like a space miner story that was just kind of inspired by these. There's this designer that does these kind of Japanese mechs, kind of these like human-sized suits, and to me they always look like mining rigs. They always look like suits like miners would wear. It's like a story of asteroid miners, and kind of like a heist story, like these downtrodden, like not being kind of exploited space miners that find something incredibly valuable and figure out that this is their big chance. If they can find a buyer for this and figure out how to get this and get it away from the company, that they're made for life, and they can all So one of those kind of like not sophisticated heist movies, but one of those like a bunch of working class kind of not very well thought out people trying to plan a heist of expensive, some kind of expensive, like an asteroid or some kind of substance that they find. And so then I saw in that All Mankind, that's the they find some very expensive asteroid and they're going to be fighting over it, but it's like the kind of Cold War nations kind of fighting over it. But I had that idea a while ago, and I liked that idea of just regular people that don't really have they're not criminally inclined, but they're kind of downtrodden, and this opportunity presents themselves and they're going to go for it. And so basically the end of my story idea was everyone ends up dying. Like there has to be some kind of but most of the people involved, most of the people that thought they could do this, end up paying with their lives because it was too much for them. And so I was trying to figure out a good way, like what would be a fun finish to that. But yeah, of course the outcome is bad for most of the people that thought they could pull that off. Nice. Oh really? It gets very Twin Peaks. Oh, interesting. Severance, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, so this is just the build up to they're showing the continued space race and the tensions between the countries in For All Mankind. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I saw, and that's maybe what I watched. Maybe I watched a trailer for season 2. I didn't notice. I was really impressed though. The thing that blew me away is the Apple Plus is beautiful. I mean, they push the 4K or Ultra HD, the UHD, like even the like menu with the background images and stuff. It's beautiful. They really did a good job of like saying this is going to look amazing for anybody that's got, high resolution stuff. Because on my TV, it was like, oh my God, Apple Plus looks gorgeous. Sometimes it's really weird. Like the Netflix content is so like hit or miss, like a lot of, and they don't really tell you. I think Disney tells you. Netflix doesn't tell you like what resolution you're going to be able to look at stuff in. Sometimes on Netflix, I've gotten like with one of the John Wick movies or whatever. It's like, oh, that's definitely, that's nice 4K. That looks beautiful. But most of the time, especially like older stuff, it's not. Yeah, it's probably just 1080p. It's very fuzzy and not great. But yeah, all the Apple stuff looked gorgeous. Cool. Yeah, I liked that premise a lot. I thought For All Mankind had a nice premise, and I think there should be a bigger genre of like NASA punk, kind of stuff. Like, oh, it's that meme that I think it's just like a CG image. That meme with the astronaut pointing a gun, like two guys in spacesuits on a moon, and the guy's got a gun pointed at the guy's back, and the punchline of the meme or whatever is it always was. Like you say, the first astronaut says something, and the second one says, "Yeah, it always was," and he's gonna shoot him in the back. But just that image is like, yeah, I want more of that. There was a movie that did that a little bit. There was like a space chase in like rovers in a movie that I watched, or a series that I watched a while ago. But I'm like, yeah, I want more of that. That weird, like, vacuum, zero gravity, like low gravity, no air kind of weird stuff where any little, I guess like kind of like underwater fighting in a James Bond movie or whatever. But the stakes are high because it's very easy to damage someone's space. What movie was that? Where there was like people chasing, was that The Expanse? No, they didn't do that. But there was some kind of like, people in spacesuits chasing each other in something. And I liked how that worked. There should be more NASA punk. I like that, like shitty space technology, like very low tech space movies, like our level of, just a little bit above our level of technology now. And heist movies and crime dramas and stuff like told in that setting. Oh, cool. Yeah, okay, I definitely have to watch it now. Yeah, I like that. For some reason, yeah, there's something very fun and appealing about that. All right. Yeah, but any recommend? Oh, I watched Sugar because I liked what Colin Farrell in his True Detective season. He did a good like fucked up cop, and so this was him being a cool private eye. And a couple of those things always turn me off when like Hollywood is like up its ass and they write a character like this character like really loves movies, and they're showing clips of old movies because that's like what pops in his head every time he like runs into a situation like that. So that was a little bit like distracting. I hate when they do that. Like, aren't movies great? So when they write a character that's a big fan of movies that's working in Hollywood, and I don't know. So I wanted to like, and I wish it was more stripped down. It's got some subplots that are pretty weird, but it's a ton of voiceover. Like it's him talking the whole time, and it's he goes to the estate of some super powerful movie producer, some super rich, famous movie producer, and he asks to find my daughter. And it's a very standard kind of film noir kind of detective story setup. And but there's a lot of bad acting in it, a lot of like weird casting. I don't know, maybe it's just younger. They're trying to get a naturalistic young person, like somebody in their 20s now, talking is unbearable. I don't know if I'm just like hypersensitive to it, but it's unbearable listening to some of these young actresses try to convey anything other than like mental illness. It's really It's really weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's coming out weekly, so I'll maybe watch a little bit more of it. I think it was like 4 or 5 episodes. But he's interesting. It's just like they're setting up some weird secret society thing that I don't know. I don't know if it's going to pay off well. Nice. Good. So for all my kind, it's good. Matt says, good hearts sci-fi except for one bit on Mars where they can talk. Oh, we can talk about it after you see it. Okay, cool. Oh, Shmigadon is good too. Shmigadoon is good too, but I know. Oh, music. Ah, musicals. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when I was at CalArts, I've already told this story, I think, on the stream a bunch of times. But I was at CalArts. We had there's like always visiting like artists and like famous like professionals and stuff that come to CalArts and give a lecture. And I just kind of wandered into, there's an art director from a bunch of the famous big Hollywood musicals that was there talking about, the kind of musicals where they kind of use it's like a stage performance almost. They use like backlit, scrims and set pieces and stuff. And so it's not supposed to be very natural. It's supposed to look like a filmed stage production. But he was talking about, the difference between how you would do that in theater and then when you're doing it for the camera. And it was amazing. Like I couldn't believe how much art was in composing the shots and what the director was doing with colors and things, and just his explanation of things was amazing. So it blew me away. It's like I don't want to watch musicals for the content, but I wanted to watch more old musicals for the art direction, because just hearing him talk about it, it's like, wow, I never even thought there was so much going on in the art direction of the old classic musicals, because they got a bunch of old, or they got a bunch of European artists, European designers after World War II working in Hollywood. So they were artists. They weren't, hacks or people that had come from vaudeville or whatever. Like these were, designers and painters and things from Europe that came over and worked in Hollywood, especially for studios like UPA and stuff. So yeah, we had a moment there. All right. Well, I've got my little juice box things. Oh, yeah, but I was impressed. The presentation. I mean, it's that shitty Apple interface where the thing you're selecting is a little bit bigger. Like, the reason something is selected or you're mousing over it, it's the thumbnail's a little bit bigger, but on the big screens you can't see the size difference very well, and they don't like do a border or anything for something that's selected. So that's a little bit frustrating. Maybe it looks better on a Mac, some kind of Apple device. But on my TV, I'm like, what thumbnail am I? So I got to move back and forth to see which thumbnail like moves a few millimeters, gets a few millimeters bigger. That's a little like, this interface is not obviously made for this. But it's amazing. Yeah, amazing quality. And they've got like Netflix, they got their like short little library of like classic movies, like, stuff that they think would be popular. And it doesn't seem, the curation is a little odd, or maybe they just like, get packages of stuff or whatever. But I think there's got to be a way to curate that amazingly. I guess though, no, the audience for Apple it's not a fixed audience. It's just people that like devices. So it's not exactly a type of audience member, but they sure do have pretty video. Yeah, that's weird. Their UI, like, Apple always brags about their UI, but that's like, that's not great. You need to a little bit more. Let you know what you've chosen or what you're looking at. Yeah, but the thing I'm afraid of is I'm going to be able to, unless there's something I'm like addicted to watching, in 2 months, I'm going to see everything on Apple TV if I watch it regularly, or Apple Plus, sorry, whatever. I'm going to see everything. So they better do something to keep my attention. Yeah. Oh, and I did it again. I can't. I think I have like a battered spouse syndrome with Amazon. I think for some reason, I don't know why I think this, but for some reason I think I can order books on Amazon. Like I think ordering books is a good idea on Amazon. So the new Stephen Bruce Vlad Taltos book came out, and I bought all of them used previously, and I missed the first few in hardcover. They're impossible to get, anything but a battered like library copy in hardcover. So the new one came out, and I ordered, and it's Tor. The publisher is the Tor, sci-fi fantasy publisher. Whew. So that thing arrived, all misprinted. Like the dust jacket is so off registration. The book, the paper inside the book itself is a tiny grade above their mass market book, like maybe just thicker. It's like a heavier weight, but it's going to yellow instantly. It's garbage paper that this poor book is printed on. And you could tell that by turning it on its side, and the pages are doing this. Like it's obviously the book has been exposed to some sort of moisture when in storage, and the pages are all wavy inside, so you can't even like close the book completely. It's kind of like sitting slightly open. The back, I don't know, half a dozen pages are folded in and creased and shut. The inside of the dust jacket is creased like diagonally across the back flap and just all crushed in there. And I was like, why did I think, why did I think anything other than this was going to fucking arrive? Yeah, it's amazing. And the box that arrived in is in pristine condition. I know there are two other books that were in there, perfect condition. They're paperback. They're shitty paperbacks, and the more expensive hardcover. Not only was it cheaply produced, which is so depressing. I don't know if it's that paper, it's that sustainability stuff that everyone's doing with paper, but the downgrade of paper printing, like production of because books, is so bad. It's insane. I guess because bookstores, like retail bookstores, are dying, so things don't even need to, because you're going to pick it up at the bookstore and openly like, oh, this is terrible. This is like not even. I've seen better quality print on demand than what this offset printing, copy of this book, stitched, bound, nice edition of I've seen machines that can print one copy of print on demand stuff do a better job than this. It was so bad. Or maybe that's what it was. Maybe I should scour the maybe that's what they're doing, is just to save costs. Everything has gone to print on demand. But this was a piece of garbage. So depressing. Like really, really depressing. So just like, why do I think that, I can trust this company to send anything? And then to if you want it replaced, I got to internationally ship it back to them, and if it doesn't arrive in a certain time, they charge me for the replacement they sent out, so I pay for it twice. It's so fucking annoying. It should just be like, once every 3 months or whatever, some time limit, you just get a free replacement of garbage that you buy from their garbage warehouse, and they should just eat the damaged products that they send people. But I've never gotten a game book from Amazon that hasn't had at least one of the corners completely smashed. Like somebody just spiked it on the ground on the cement floor of the warehouse and crushed one of the corners. I've never gotten a game book that hasn't had one of those corners. So I don't know why I think I can order hardcover books from Amazon and that they will arrive in a pristine. I wanted a first printing of this book, and I wanted it to arrive in nice condition, possibly, put some shrink wrap on it. Why not? It's crazy. I mean, it must be just like, UPS and stuff, where they're just like chucking stuff, like people are just like pitching things. And if it's a book, It hits hard, and if the page is open, the pages are gonna crease, and someone's just stuffing it in a box. So there must just be airborne hardcover books at these Amazon, or maybe the robots are they got robot arms flinging them, you know, into cartons. But I can't believe the level of damage. That was really, really depressing. Like, I don't know why I bother. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, I've already watched Napoleon. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, it was just okay. It didn't like strike me like there weren't any scenes like really memorable scenes, and it's got that Ridley Scott kind of like he fucks with history just for the cinematic effect, like the charge over the frozen lake, and you know the army like collapses into the ice, and like some of those things are just for the movie. They're just for the yeah, for movie purposes. But yeah, it was weird the way that a lot of the events were contracted, and like the his like it didn't tell, I think, the story very well. Just focused on some events that he thought were important, and it would just like do these weird jumps and time, like Joaquin Phoenix, his age never quite looked right. He was too old when he was young, and he wasn't old enough. He wasn't old enough looking when he was old, so he was never kind of quite the right age. But yeah, it didn't. I want to see. I mean, obviously a better copy of it again, so maybe it'd be worth watching in higher resolution. But yeah, there wasn't really any real standout stuff. Like the Gladiator or whatever kind of like memorable stuff where you're just like, okay, I know that's not accurate, but that was a fun visual, or that was a fun, piece of storytelling. Yeah, it was odd. I'm trying to think. Yeah, just things happened really fast, which was kind of disconcerting because you didn't quite know what year you were in. The way that it was done, I think it was some people, when I was watching older clips from older attempts to do Napoleon movies, what they're contrasting what Ridley Scott did. Yeah, it was, and no one's ever done a great version. But the interesting thing, if you want to watch a really interesting, there's been a couple of video essays on Kubrick Kubrick's attempt. He was like obsessed for like a decade or something about making a Napoleon movie, and was going to do it in like Kubrick, like kind of like super, whatever his problem was, super over focused, obsessive style, and it could have been interesting. His approach was interesting, so I think that was but there's probably a good reason why he gave it up, and other filmmakers should have heeded that warning. But yeah, it was just okay. Yeah, it didn't really like now. Just it's been a while since I saw it. Nothing really jumped out. But yeah, it's not. It's not. You're not gonna like have any. And it didn't inspire me to want to do like Napoleonic, tabletop or anything like like wargaming. It didn't like. Oh, now I really want to build a. It doesn't. It didn't inspire much of anything. It was just like a kind of a rushed piece of weird storytelling that was not accurate, that just had its own skew, and not even like not even that strong, where you're like, okay, obviously Ridley Scott thinks Napoleon is this kind of figure, and he's twisting everything to make it fit this, and he wants to tell tell a story about this kind of character. It didn't really have that. It was just, yeah, kind of odd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hope I didn't spoil anything too much. Yes, he's still writing. He's still writing the Vlad Taltos books. Yes, the new one just came out. I don't know though. Maybe the cover might even be AI art. It's so depressing. So depressing. Yeah, it's like number 16 or something. Yeah, but I like that world. Have they ever done a Oh no, definitely a painted cover. That's good. Not AI. 17, sorry. This is book 17, yeah. Yes, they're still making those books. And he's on the run again, this time from one of the most powerful forces in the world, the Left Hand, who are intent on ending his very lucrative career permanently. Yes, they're still making these books. But don't even bother. So bad. So bad. The quality. Yeah, the quality of Tor hardcover fiction is garbage. It's print on demand garbage quality. And I should probably, although, oh wait, there's a 1 star. Let me see what the, nope, nobody, they didn't write anything. Oh, almost. Ooh, yeah, people are saying it would make a great novella, but it's been padded out into a full novel. So, yeah, who knows? Yeah, but I have all the previous books, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just get it. I'll get it upon release. Nope, don't even bother. It's not even the same anymore. I don't even. That's got to be really, really depressing for book collectors too. It's like it's like now there's like limited amount of decently produced books, and anything more recent is just garbage. Yeah, but that was I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I thought. Well, if you would have had a dragon on your shoulder, perhaps she would have been. Perhaps she would have liked you more. Yeah, there's some really just unique little fantasy things. I like how like the magic is powered and things in that world, and yeah, dragons are just like kind of big house cats. I just like the thiefy kind of like crappy level of like different guilds and classes, or I guess it's like different nations. Like that, there's a kind of a tension, like a racial tension between nations, and then there's also assassins guilds and thieves guilds and stuff. That's fun. Yeah, but they're still making this still 17, but it sounds like maybe he's running out of steam. Somebody's criticism was there wasn't enough story here to justify an entire novel. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I like that. I like that setting a lot. I think there would be some really fun things to take if you're doing an original, RPG fantasy setting. I think there's some interesting things to take from there. And I like his just his voice, like his writing style. It's easy to read. All right. Well, let's just start with a blank. We'll just do the juice stuff. Maybe make this guy a little bit bigger. And put these all in the center and just try again on the other file here. All right. This a little taller. I don't even know if they even have cans like that in anywhere else besides Japan, but oh well. Let's see how badly I drew this. If we flip it, does it still look okay? Oh yeah, not too bad. I'm getting a little bit better at that. Drawing with some symmetry and not like totally wonked out. Yeah, maybe this could use some correction though. Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know what the I mean, it's gonna die. Not in Japan, but it's gonna die in America. I think publishing publishing physical books is dying, or they're gonna make it so, undesirable to even touch a book again. The quality is just such garbage. Yeah, it's amazing. I might end up being one of those weirdos that starts buying those kind of boutique editions of things like those, limited edition books, just so you can get something that feels good to hold in your hands, because the stuff that the big publishers are putting out is so pathetic. All right. What's a... Yeah, so maybe we'll just make these all orange drinks, right? Variations on orange. All right. Yeah, that's one of my big loves. I love big bookcases full of dead trees. And now it's getting harder and harder to find stuff that's even worth not just, throwing away after you read it. Very depressing. Oh, actually, no, let me go with that light, yeah. And then the dark. There we go. And the straws. Hey, Matt. Gotta crash. Okay, good night, Matt. Talk to you tomorrow. And thanks. Thank you for helping out tomorrow. I appreciate it. Take care. All right. Oh, yeah, it's already 3:30. It's already 11:30. Matt's time. But yeah, I gotta keep an eye on the time. Is this... Let's see. How does this look? Yeah, that might be okay. Oops. What did I do wrong here? And all layers. There we go. But yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna try. So Matt will be calling in remotely for the weekly. I will do the Discord call thing tomorrow, but it'll be in the new space. So hopefully the lighting and sound and everything will be okay tomorrow. Who knows? It's gonna take me a while to, I think, dial in that new setup. There we go. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. That Matt's memory was funny. The what you associate with different properties, like people that are into certain things. You have like weird associations and memories based on that. So anytime something like that comes up, you're always like, oh yeah, that's the that's the thing that is connected to this this lousy memory. All right, and then maybe, I should do these on another layer, shouldn't I? I'll try again. But yeah. That's funny. Maybe the little juice box information. All right, and an orange on the front. There we go. Variations on orange. Nice. Yeah, everything's set up and the computers and stuff are working. Internet is working. Yeah, that was, I couldn't get, so this week is Golden Week. It's this like national holiday. There's like 4 or 5 national holidays that could kind of coincide. So if you take a couple days off in the middle of the week, you get like 10-day vacation, which is very rare for Japanese people. That's why they call it Golden Week. And so I couldn't get movers to help during Golden Week because it's everyone's on vacation, the entire country is on vacation, and so I had to do it last Thursday. So I lost my streaming day, and there was so much other stuff along with that I couldn't reschedule. So yeah, sorry, that's why I missed. So between packing and moving, I lost a couple of Thursdays. But I'm thinking maybe I should go back to streaming from the office. I don't know if that would help anything or if that would change anything, but maybe get me focusing a little bit more or whatever. Because if I'm not home, then I can't drive. I'm nobody's taxi. I don't know. Don't know what would be best, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, it should be nice. Hopefully, it'll kind of like mentally reset me for what I can do for the channels and podcast stuff. Get a whole new big space to play around in. Get some rugs and new furniture and see what nonsense we can get up to. All right. Yeah, it's a nice space for. We've used the same space before for game nights and stuff, so it's a good space. It's got a big, crazy like diamond-shaped skylight. The building was built in the 80s, obviously, because of the color of everything. So it's got these weird like kind of aquamarine colored, like that greenish blue steel beams that are like making this weird modern kind of diamond shape. I'll do some photos of it, or I'll like tip the camera over to it, but it's got some funny 80s architecture in the space. But yeah, so that I have to be careful, like heating and stuff. Heating, or I guess not so much heating. The sun. The sun's going to be a big enemy. If I'm in there a lot this year to keep it cooled down, because there's no way to put curtains on this weird kind of skylight thing. There's no way to block it. I think it's got a UV coating because stuff doesn't get discolored by the sun. So I think there's a UV coating on the glass, but the heat, still builds up. So we'll see if I can. Oh, wait, there's one more I missed here. Uh-oh, no, this color. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we're going to hear, you'll probably hear a lot more kids' voices because everybody is off. So a lot of parents doing stuff with their kids. I think, though, this is usually the time where Japanese people go to Hawaii or travel internationally. I think none of that is happening. Hawaii says like their Japanese tourism is down like 80%. So they were expecting it to kind of come back post-pandemic, and it's just not because of the American inflation and then the weak yen. That combination is just, people look at those prices like, come on. I don't need to eat pineapples for the 100th time on my vacation. So yeah, people are bailing on their Hawaiian vacations and things. It's a popular wedding destination for Japanese people. Getting married in Hawaii is popular, but maybe now they're doing it in Okinawa. It's funny though, I've had multiple people complain or ask me what's going on with things, because there's reports in the Japanese news that some young Japanese women have been denied entry. They're traveling alone, and they're traveling with suitcases full of clothes that are just meant, for them to be, for them to do social media stuff. So, a lot of swimwear and beautiful dresses and stuff, just for their Instagram. Like they just want to, have a bunch of, looking off at the sunset, whatever. So they're basically bringing like a wardrobe, like costume looking wardrobe. and they get stopped at immigration or customs and immigration and checked, and they get refused entry into the U.S. because I think there's been some sort of instruction or whatever to limit people that look like they're traveling for sex work. So maybe from Asia, there's been an increase in women traveling, uh, and a lot of it is usually based around events or whatever. But Japanese people are really insulted because there's not. I think there's probably in Asia there's probably fewer sex workers in Japan than in any other country, and because a lot of the Japanese, sex shops are not employing Japanese workers. So they were very insulted, like these, and so maybe they were complaining about it on social media, and it got picked up by the news. But there's obviously some kind of instruction, and it's mostly through Hawaii. So girls that wanted to go to Hawaii and then maybe go on to other picture or photogenic locations in the U.S., they would arrive and they'd be considered like, oh, you're attempting to do sex work here because look at look, you're just bringing a bunch of clothes that are obviously for, whatever for that are they thought looked like were for a certain job. So that was interesting. I was really surprised. That sort of thing, because that's very very insulting. I think for maybe just like here, yeah, very insulting for them for them to make that weird assumption. Hey, dude, how's it going? Nice. Oh, cool. Your sister's going to Hawaii. Nice. Yeah. How's the exchange rate? Is the dollar? Because I think it's like just particularly bad between the yen and the U.S. dollar. So, I wonder how your monies are faring against the American. And is your part of the world having inflation as well? Are like things pretty overpriced? So it's not too dramatic, I guess. Yeah, yeah, really, really insulting and embarrassing for those girls, and especially because they're traveling alone. So they're just like, why, what? And, I'm not sure if they give them a reason either. If they have to give them a reason, they just deny them entry. And yeah, it's very, very weird. Okay, there's some orange drinks. All right. But yeah, very odd, and it's kind of like a weird, kind of how people of like Middle Eastern descent are profiled at airports, and they get the more involved searches, and they look through bags and stuff just because they're from a certain part of the world or they're a certain ethnicity. So maybe now there's a weird Asian, look out for young Asian women traveling alone thing. So somebody did that. All right. Yeah, but very outraged. Yeah, because it's definitely, I think Japan is one of those countries. Well, I mean, I guess Japan, China, and Korea. So it's mostly Southeast Asia that has the bad reputation of, for sex tourism and things. The rest of the countries, they have it's not legal, but they have kind of, gray market, adult businesses. But for the most part, you can't, as a foreigner, you can't get into them. I think it's only, I've never tried, but from what I've heard, it's there's domestic. These are basically, only businesses for domestic, for Japanese. So why? So they shouldn't have a reputation, internationally of having any sort of sex workers, because they don't work internationally. All right, what are we doing? But yeah, it's very odd. Yeah, that's something. How, I don't know. How is it in other parts of the world? But that was one of the bigger culture shocks for me. Is was never around, and I guess because I didn't grow up in a big city, like in a big metropolitan kind of area. Always like small towns and suburbs and stuff. So wasn't exposed to anything until I got to university, any kinds of sex work or sex workers. But that puts a whole kind of weird, if there is, available sex workers in your culture, in your country, dating has to have a whole other level of, did you get tested? Because if it's culturally acceptable, there's no stigma. There's no stigma attached to men going to sex workers. Then they're also, because when it's not totally legal, that means it's not, there's no administration, there's no licensing and testing and things. So these are untested, sex workers. And so dating people, dating men in that kind of culture, there's a whole nother thing to it. I've always thought that was odd. That if you throw that in the mix, it makes the whole, this new world of dating apps and stuff where this makes hookup culture a little bit more, high risk. Because I think, Japan and Norway are the countries that are famous for the incurable gonorrhea, like the drug-resistant gonorrhea. So, it's STDs are a thing, and they're not going away. And if you've got a culture that is going to just perpetuate that, I don't know. I always thought that was odd. I can't imagine navigating that. And having to trust a spouse and stuff in that culture. Especially if you want more kids, it's ugh, okay, I guess I'll get syphilis so that I can have another baby. Jesus. Oh yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, speaking of that, so the reason that I think that, it's not based on my weird speculation or a fantasy version of the world. So I know someone works at a pharmacy and had oops, what's that? Had a what is going on? Okay, had a 16-year-old patient come in with syphilis, 16-year-old girl. So that's, that means stuff is out there and people are, and also there's, the not only the official kind of sex work culture here, but there's also a very specifically Japanese type of sugar daddy situation. And the thing that's gross about it is that means that creepy old men in suits have no control, nothing to tell them not to solicit every girl that they come across with some sort of money, give them an offer. Will you have coffee with me for $250? Girls very commonly get offers like that in Japan, and kind of in a harassing way, not in a complimentary or whatever way. So some girls then it makes them feel like, what, do I look like a prostitute, or do I look like that kind of girl? So it's a weird kind of, they feel a weird insult to it. But so that kind of thing exists too, kind of the grassroots, homegrown sex work. So girls that want luxury goods that they could never convince their family to buy them will do this, kind of sugar daddy kind of stuff. And some of the guys just want to sit and drool over them at cafes, but some of them want, services. So these young girls end up in situations I'm sure they wouldn't choose. But then you put that in the mix there, then because that kind of stuff is then going to affect their future fertility and things. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about something nicer. That doesn't look like a melon. It looks like a giant orange. But yeah, so that's just weird. I wonder how that, because I know Europe, Europe has their red light districts and stuff. So I wonder how you figure that out. How you deal with that being a thing, because that just increases everyone. Like the regular everyday person, is dealing with a high risk lifestyle if they want to date. I don't know. I'm too old. I shouldn't be talking. This should be silent, silent live streams. Oh, 60 cents to the dollar. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's better than Japan. Yeah. Oh, that's not too bad. Dude says single for life. Good move, dude. I'm explaining why I'm drawing a banana. Yeah. I'll get the eyes. I usually do that in the coloring process that I do on my. Yeah, I did all my eyes on the juice. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's got to be really strange to navigate that. Okay, so this isn't even a phone receiver. Do people even know what these kind of receivers? I don't even know what they look like anymore. Yeah, just that kind of thing is odd. But I guess that's also an argument there for legalizing things, because then you can put, testing requirements and stuff on people. But at the same time, if legalizing marijuana was any, that doesn't really look great, does it? Is any kind of guide to that? I don't think that's been a particularly successful experiment, because the taxation sounds like it's a little bit out of control. So people are just going back to their illegal sources, because taxes make it, unaffordable. They break the kind of economics of it. All right. Let's just do a crazy, and then just kind of have it cut off. There we go. Some wires sticking out. All right, so I don't think a phone has to sit like this, basically. Maybe a banana too, but let's get this, get the scale up a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, let me look up an actual receiver. I think these should actually go the whole way, like the whole width, because it looks weird. I remember unscrewing those when I was a kid, like this old style phone receiver. These cups on the earpiece and the mouthpiece, they were threaded, so they unscrewed, and you could like pull it apart and see the speaker with the wires and stuff. I remember doing that as a kid. These phones don't even exist anymore, do they? Everybody just buys their phone, because these were like the style of the phone provided by the phone company. Like you used to rent a phone from the phone. That sounds like from the 1920s. It ended in my lifetime, but in olden days, I used to rent a phone from the phone company. When you got service, you'd pay a little bit extra a month, and they'd give you, different style phones, like the kitchen wall-mounted phone, and then this kind of receiver. I guess this is both. They were both like this, but these are the ones you either set in the cradle or hang on the receiver, like that kind of hook. Okay, that's close enough. But yeah, so I don't even think they make phones that look like this anymore. Everything is like a cordless, streamlined looking thing. Oh yeah, yeah. Right, yeah, right on, girl. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. They just continued that model over. Oh, you want our wireless service from our exclusive, network of cell towers? Well, you're going to have to rent a phone from us. And that was the stupid thing is that started out not like that model where they would actually sell you the phone at a reduced rate and then like let you pay it off. I wish it was I wish that what they've turned it into now is such a nightmare. I wish it was more like this old style, like landline telephone rental thing, because these phones were indestructible. They were really hard to break, and they're really very rarely did things go wrong. And they could send a repairman out and fix them. But if they were, unrepairable, irreparable, then I don't know what word they would just give you another one. So that should be the model if you're going to be, having to pay to these ridiculous rates to be on these wireless networks. You should have an almost indestructible phone that anything happens to it, you just hand it to them and they hand you a new one. But we're not in that world anymore. They torture you. I don't know the American system, but I'm sure it's even worse than in Japan. But they torture you with, oh, we have to send it for repairs. So here's a loaner phone, and you won't have your regular phone for a month, and then they'll let us know if they can fix it or not, and they'll send it back. And yeah, it's really and for like if you have coverage on your plan to replace cracked screens and stuff. It's that same sort of thing where they just make it as miserable as possible, and they pretend like these things are fixable, like they're not just disposable garbage technology. They pretend like it can be, they can be easily opened and there's replaceable parts and stuff, where most of these phones, that's just not the case. But I hate the situation, we're in now. And so the Japanese government forced the carriers to lower their basic kind of plan prices because things were getting pretty expensive in Japan. It was getting to be like $100 a month to even have a phone. So then they forced them to lower it. I think mostly for like seniors and things. And but then they said, oh, okay, so if you're going to force us to do that, we're going to do 2-year contracts, but we're going to do 4-year payment plans on the phones because the price of the phones has just gotten crazier. There's very few like smartphones that are under $1,000 unless they're Chinese. Chinese brand. They're all Chinese made, but Chinese brand. And so now that's a way to keep customers tied to you, because if they want to switch carriers, then they still have to pay for their old phone that they're not even using anymore, that doesn't even have a wireless connection while they're using their new phone. But if you renew your contract with them, then they just kind of delete you have to give it back to them, so you have to return the phone to them, but then they excuse the outstanding balance on the phone and they send the phones off to refurbish land, which is it's so weird. But that situation, so always government is so ineffective. Oh, we're gonna fix this situation. Okay, you phone carriers, you can't do this anymore. You can't overcharge people anymore. We're gonna make a minimum, or there's a maximum amount that you can charge for this like entry level plan. And then the carriers say, okay, fine, then we'll just find some other way to scam our customers. Yeah, so depressing. The how quickly they moved on that too. They're just like, oh, okay, fine, yeah, no problem. We'll just get him another way. All right, I'll do it like a weird dated color. That's right, and the cord always matched. The rubber on the cord always matched the. So the old phones, like the old turn of the century like antique phones, were Bakelite, like were black, that black kind of weird plastic. And then I think after the 50s, everything ended up being that like hard. I think there's like weird different technologies though, but those phones, sometimes you'd see like a payphone. That was probably the newer plastic ones too. Somebody that broken a payphone handset, but like a home phone, I can't even imagine. Maybe make the phone red though, instead of doing the retro thing, like yellow and red. has a nice... Blue's not bad. Okay, well, blue looks more serious. But yeah, those phones... Oh, are you kidding me? Okay, well, I fucked this up. Those phones are pretty indestructible. So, but there's no such thing as building something like that anymore. All right, well, I'm not going to worry about that being in the wrong layer. Or am I? Let's see if I can pull this out. Maybe I can. Okay, I can. Now we'll put this one here. Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure every country kind of did their own thing with phone service, because every kind of geography, everybody's geography creates its own special problem, and what people are like willing to pay and stuff. Merge layers. There we go. I did it. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that was always the thing too. You had to get a landline. Like you had to when you moved into a new apartment, like as a student, that was always one of the bigger expenses. You had to set up phone service. You had to get your electrical and gas and water in your name. Some apartment buildings that covered parts of those things, but a lot of times it was up to you to do it yourself, and always get a phone number and a phone installed. And then all that happened, especially in the U.S., all that happened is then salesmen just started calling you. I think the phone companies would just sell the new numbers that they registered to the salesman. So then your phone's just ringing off the hook with like unnecessary sales calls and stuff. And you could put yourself on like on a do not call list, and then there's I don't think it was national. I think it's statewide bans on like no calling during dinner time and stuff. It was ridiculous. It's just like the flyers you get jammed into your mailbox. Like you have an address and you have a mailbox. So you have people stuffing, flyers for pizza delivery or like plumbing service, emergency plumbing services and stuff. You have people jamming their ads in your mailbox, and that is the most ineffective advertising ever. But it's still a thing. Like it's still, and also the junk mail kind of the rate that they can get is much cheaper. That scale isn't quite right, is it? Isn't it? Is it not? It's a huge phone. Or maybe the banana should be bigger. Should it? Well, we'll keep it this way. It's a tiny phone. I mean, it's a tiny banana. Oh yeah, yeah. Once we weren't getting phones from the phone companies. You're buying them from Target or Kmart or whatever. No, I broke dozens of phones, just like being angry after phone calls and just like smashing the receiver until you either shattered the base or you broke the receiver. Yeah, that just trash. Because you wouldn't buy expensive phones. You try to buy like a $20 phone, and then you just get angry and just smash it into bits. So that's why I missed because you could be angry and smash your phone company phone, and it wasn't going anywhere. It probably hurt your hand more than you would hurt the phone. The days of unbridled rage. Yeah. But I remember breaking plenty of cheap phones. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my brother and I lived together for a short time in Los Angeles. I think between the two of us, we were always buying a new phone. Like always one of us had shattered the phone. Lovely folks. Oh, come on. Ba-boom. Sorry. Anybody that's doesn't like sudden jarring visual things. I don't mean to do that weird zoom. All right, there we go. Actually, I should make this so that it's like sitting, yeah, like this. So it's sitting up a little bit. That might make more sense. Yeah. Do this. So it's, you know, elevated a little, I guess. And a banana. Okay, oops. Let's do this above here. So something about them not looking that similar, or was that the joke? All right. Something about a sad old phone receiver. It's not drawn very well. Add it to the pile of not drawn very well objects. Yeah, things that I haven't seen in decades are obviously not going to look great. All right, we did it. Hey, Kane, how's it going? Oh, this art style came from just drawing with Sharpie. So I kind of came up with this cartoon when I was doing Sharpie sketches. So, and I was drawing with a Sharpie, like a permanent magic marker, to try to force myself to commit to like every line. So now, obviously, I'm not doing that because you're watching me like revise and redraw lines digitally because it's Photoshop. So I'm redrawing too much. But the original style and why it's so simple and kind of ugly, the simplicity of the style came from I first drew this with a marker on just a, you know, a piece of paper, just like a letter-sized piece of paper. And that's what the orientation of the cartoon is. That's why it's not square or a strip. I was just drawing on a paper and using a permanent magic marker so that every line I drew, I had to stick with it. I couldn't change anything. So the early stuff, you can really see that it forced my style. It forced me to like come up with a more, I don't know, like a smarter hand. I couldn't draw too quickly or else things would look, but that was part of the charm, is that everything was a little bit off. Like the perspective or kind of proportions of things were always a little off, but I just committed to it because I was going to draw just permanently with marker. And cartooning is usually that. There's very few cartoonists that do pencil sketch and then do ink over pencil. That's more of a comic book thing. So they would mostly come up with a style that they would use with a quill pen or a brush and then just draw. They maybe have some thumbnail sketches of how they wanted to compose different frames, but they wouldn't trace over pencil lines. So when I tried to come up with my cartooning idea, I committed to just drawing with a magic marker. But Sharpies don't have a thick, thin kind of variance. Like you can draw a little bit lighter to get a thinness, but you can't vary your line so much like you can with a brush. So that's where this kind of style came from, kind of like a thick outline and sometimes some thin inner details, but mostly just thick outline. And I'm just like simulating that original idea more in digital form. But yeah. So that's where this came up with, what I came up with. And also I liked the idea of these objects out of context. So that's why there's no background. Like I rarely draw elements that show they're sitting on a table, they're on a kitchen counter. And most of the time the joke reveals maybe they're just sitting on the floor somewhere. But I liked because then it was just focused on the relationship between the two objects, and the context was a mystery. You know, context was where they were. So sometimes in the joke, I'll say on the kitchen floor, or in the refrigerator, or on the counter. But I give you very little. I idea. So most of the early cartoons too, they were either on a kitchen table or in a refrigerator. Those were kind of the two locations, and that's why the just bright white background worked fine without any suggestion of windows or where they were. But I've gotten all kinds of crazy since then. It's been like office supplies, so obviously sitting at a desk at work, or just kind of different random stuff. But I just wanted the focus to be the actual objects, so not so much a setting or a context that they're in. All right, ask me a question, you get a long ass answer. All right, so let's take a look. Let's go back to 2019. We're catching up. We're almost reaching the pandemic. Let's see if my pandemic cartoons change at all. So here we are. So this is Go Comics. So if you want to read this cartoon, gocomics.com/domestic abuse, all one word, is where the archive is. And so few thousand cartoons since I think here it starts at 2015? No, earlier than that. No, it's 20. It's the aughts. So like, I think I started working with Go Comics like in 2006 or something, but I'd already been doing the cartoon for 3 or 4 years. And then when they asked me to, I kind of reset. So the numbering from my original website, the dates that I created them, and then on Go Comics is a little off because the original set that I gave them were daily cartoons, so one every day. But it was from the first 2 years or 3 years that I'd done it. So it kind of took 2003 and then made it 2006, basically. And then sometimes it shifted off. So the Christmas cartoons are in November. So some of the timing isn't quite right. All right. But we're going back to May 2nd, 2019. Yeah, we're getting to pandemic era. So actual books made surprisingly good e-reader stands. Yep, that's the only thing left for books to do. May 7th, 2019. Oh, I just did a cheese and pizza box joke just recently. He was just happy to be away from all that extra cheese. Ba-bum. Let's see if the comments are working. Pepperoni. Oops. I think I was here already, wasn't I? Oh, it's working now. Let me help him out with that. All right. May 9th, 2019. Cotton swabs were not happy about any of their intended uses. Yes. What are you supposed to do? Oh, lots of... Uh-oh, we're going to have an argument about it. I can't say I blame him. Stick him in the ear. Get shoved in distasteful orifices. They go where angels fear to tread. Nice. Oh, this replies here too. Angels are a bunch of scaredy cats. And I've yet to been told they wrestle all night with you. And yet I've been told they wrestle all night with you, given the chance. There probably is something else that suffers a worse fate. Oh, that's probably true, Julian. All right. May 14th. With novels yet to be published, the complete box set was a total lie. I think this is a Game of Thrones joke. Yeah, they were releasing, like when the HBO series was popular, they're releasing complete sets of Game of Thrones novels. It's like there's going to be 2 more books, maybe. How about a total lie? Oh, this is the proofread guy. Yeah. A total... Oh, what did I say originally? Maybe it was a typo. Yeah, nobody proofreads. You win, old desert lizard. Someone else complaining about George Martin not finishing Songs of Ice and Fire. Ah, how did you know? How did you know? Yep, that's exactly what it was. Someone else complaining. May 16th. The size of the jar betrayed the extensive utility of mayonnaise. Mayonnaise goes on everything. Egg and tuna salad are what I use it for. And on roast beef sandwiches with Dijon mustard ain't bad either. Wow. Bring up mayonnaise and you get a response. May 21st. The uninsured packages just felt a little more dangerous. Nope. Okay. The Sopranos shipping. What? What? Oh, okay. I guess it's just a thing. Call it a surprise package. Nope. They searched packages marked fragile, handle with care. That's the one that gets the beating. Haha. Podogs always. Got some nice comments. True. All right. May 23rd. A single glass of water disrupted the entire presentation. He's sweating all over the papers, making the projector nervous. It did make it more interesting, though. All right. May 28th. So we'll do May, June, July. He began to worry that none of these were his cap. I guess I should have made him frowning so you knew who he was. No caps allowed. May 30th. It never occurred to them that they were all from different cakes. They just thought they were a unified group of desserts. These look like showcase models for the cheese factory. A cheesecake factory looked like a runaway success in China until they discovered that almost all of the adult population was lactose intolerant. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a funny thing about Asia is they don't handle dairy very well. So yeah, if you go too crazy with your that's why I'm surprised that like pizza is as popular here as it is. And that's why they have a lot of alternative milk stuff at like Starbucks and stuff. Because a lot of people do not like milk. But they all got along just fine, thank you. All right. So June 4th. Quitting smoking was now being measured in minutes of success. There was almost a time, I admit this is true, I did manage to quit in 95. Nice. Oh, I already said hello. Nice. All right. And more birthday jokes. June 6th. What he thought was a new friend turned out to be just another mess. A birthday cake on the floor. I'd like to know why the cake is on the floor or the Roomba is on the table. Yes, without context, you have no idea what we're talking about. The 3-year-old had awesome lungs. He blew it right off the table. A Roomba. Thanks for the heads up. I could not figure that out. Oh, yeah. Sorry, some stuff is not drawn particularly. Well, the cake is on the floor, apparently having fallen, being knocked off. Evidenced by the damage it sustained, but also it was left out in the rain. Yeah, kind of droopy looking cake. All right. June 11th. The fabric softener was having a strange effect on the towels. They were super soft. Puffing up like that, it's probably an allergic reaction. Nice. Felt good to be pampered. Oh, snow cone jokes. There was no possible way to melt with dignity. At least I'm laughing at my own stupid stuff. To avoid melting, brain freeze happens to someone. All right. Oh boy, letterbox jokes. June 18th. They were the only ones happy about the bedroom and bathroom being so close. Oh, the pet bed, the cat pillow bed thing, and the letterbox. Bedroom and bathroom. Were they really? Really? June 20th. What he thought was a manic pixie cocktail turned out to be just a decorative candle. Yeah, this is the I must have been like reading some criticism of the manic pixie dream girl. Oh, and I'm plugging my stream. What a loser. What a loser. I'm posting on my own stuff. The Wix certainly has a certain je ne sais quoi. Visiting from the Wax Museum, was he? Come on. There we go. All right. Yeah, so I'm definitely already streaming, and yeah, so there was some criticism of that character type, that it's just like a self-serving like male fantasy thing. But that, that was like a recur. I think it was somebody's doing a movie. I think it was a movie criticism of like what's her face in Garden State, Natalie Portman in Garden State, and some of the characters that are just to serve the man's entertainment, or to be some aid to them in their depression or whatever. But I just thought, yeah, the manic pixie cocktail candle was a funny joke. Obviously, it's not that funny. All right. So June 25th. There was not enough aloe in the world for him to survive the demanding life of lip care. Oh, somebody's home. Sorry, just a second, guys. Hang on just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I've got probably about 30 more minutes. Sorry, I didn't know my schedule was going to be so tight today. But yeah, let's get to it. Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, I'll sorry, a bit distracted. Oh, yes, so aloe jokes. Let's see, how much more do we got here? We'll just cut it off. We'll do one more for June, so I can finish everything up here. We'll just finish June. All right, June 27th. They felt unfairly judged as a suspicious collection of items. So some rope, duct tape, black trash bags, ski mask. Oh, the Jesse Smollett. Oh, was that what? Yeah, maybe that's what that joke was from. From the Jesse Smollett case. All the stuff that was purchased to look guilty. Or to make me look guilty. All right. And okay, July. So we'll stop here. Sorry, guys. And I've already been here. So the no label opening marathon was producing mixed results. The green gloop is good for you. Nice. And one more. I'm already here. Yeah. Nice. Looks like what's for dinner tonight. Yeah, I like the character, I like in this cartoon the character of the tin can, the canned food with no label. Because once it loses the label, there is no way to know what's in there until you open it. All right, so I'll come back here next week. So sorry about I'm going to cut things short. All right, so let's get back to the writing part, and then we'll do a little snacking. Yep. All right. Yes, you see, if I'm in the office, then I can't drive anybody anywhere. So I might move this whole thing to the office. Okay. So the idea was he didn't get the joke, or he didn't understand what was so funny. They didn't look enough alike for anyone to be confused. Or was that the joke? No, that's not good. So, holding a banana to your ear as like a phone receiver is supposed to be the thing I'm referencing here. Wasn't funny, wasn't a... So there's similarities, so they weren't similar enough, or was that supposed to be funny? Uh, why would he even pretend to be a phone? So would he? Let's see. You know what? I might even be able to read these, write these on stream. I'm gonna run out of time. They. Oh, so yeah, maybe they're. Total lack of similarity was the joke. Or total opposite appearance, total lack of yeah, maybe similarities. I don't know. Their total lack of similarities. Lack of, yeah. Maybe as a lack of similarities must have been the joke. I don't know. What must have been this joke? Yeah. Something like that. Oh, here we go. Here's an easier one, I hope. They were all different formulations of the idea of orange, the concept of orange. Maybe artificial. Artificial will help it be more clear. Oh, formulations is a long word. All right. The concept of orange. Is that redundant? Artificial formulations? I guess anything formulated would probably be artificial. Yeah, I just want to get the word artificial in there. So it's like, artificial flavoring, artificial coloring. Contains contains all artificial ingredients. They were all different formulations of the concept of orange. And their lack of similarities must have been the joke. Yeah, that must have been the joke. Is that 2 periods? Just 1. Okay, that must have been the joke. It has to be the joke, because that's what it is. They were all different artificial formulations of the concept of orange. Oh, it liked all my spelling. Nice. Of the concept of orange. All right, let's get to the good part here. So this is a real weird one. So let's go to the convenience store. All right, welcome to the sound of Family Mart. I'm not sure if this is a photo of Family Mart, but it very well could be. So today we have something quite odd. These really stood out. It just says gyoza, right? So It's just mini gyoza, right? So as you can see the picture, the fried Chinese dumplings, they have the ground pork and like onions and garlic and stuff inside, and they just steam these little dumplings. But why would that be a candy? There's no flavor that would match. Well, these are just things that are shaped like gyoza that are peach flavored. So they're peach flavored gyoza. And the funny thing is, the peach image is really common for Chinese food in Japan. I'm not sure, maybe in China as well, but in Japan, a lot of Chinese restaurants use the peach image because peach, there's a god, I think, in Chinese Buddhism or something that has that's usually holding a peach or emerging from a peach, and he's the god of long life. So the peach is an image of long life and health. So restaurants use that a lot to mean their food is healthy, it's good for you. So these are gyoza flavored gummies. You can see down here, there's the actual window where you can see them. They're gummies that are shaped like gyoza but flavored like peach. So they're kind of just like mashing up all these weird concepts. So the peach is usually on the logo for the restaurant. They don't serve anything peach in the restaurant. The peach is not involved in any of the food. And peach has never been... Oh, it's really cute though. So the reason for the shape, if you've had these before or if you've watched somebody make them, is you pinch these are actually like little indentations of your fingers because you pinch you have like an open, like a wonton basically, and you put the filler in and you fold it over and then you pinch it shut. So the reason they always have that shape is because it's a pinched, it's your fingers pinching it. So these are, kind of like a white colored gummy candy. Oh yeah, very strong peach. They're just going to be peach juice flavored. But it's such an odd mashup. So the peach of the Chinese restaurant sign is the flavor of the, very standard Chinese restaurant dumpling. So China makes an insane number and styles of dumplings. Fried and steamed, and some filled with soup, and like all kinds of variations of things. And then they get brought to Japan and kind of like, Japanified a little bit. So the taste or look is modified more for Japanese. These are really cute though. They do a really good job. They look like little tiny gyoza. Like if you just painted a little bit of like, you see the little fried marks, the little surface from the cooking. If you just colored that, it would be a cute little replica of gyoza. Yeah. Well, they're just very standard peach gummies, but I don't understand. The concept is so odd. And here's the always the back. So you have the peach, and you have the little guy dressed in the traditional Chinese, I don't know, like service uniform or something, and a panda, of course. So funny. Yeah, just peach gummies. I'm noticing more and more. And maybe this is for the tourists, so they can get the tourists to buy stuff. But you see right here, everything is in Japanese except it says peach gummy. So explaining what things are. Sometimes you'll see that in bottles of fabric softener or laundry detergent or window cleaner. It would just have no English on the entire packaging, some one little line that says what it is, window cleaner or fabric softener. Just so if somebody maybe needs it in an emergency and they're traveling, they can very easily see what is what, so they don't try to drink, fabric softener or whatever. Because sometimes the design of the bottles and the motif, you're like, what is this exactly? So probably saving the foreigners from poisoning themselves. Yeah, these are and this is, what company was this? We've tried their stuff before. Oh yeah, the Kabaya. Kabaya has done a lot of like the funny gummy things. I think they did the kind of Tetris shaped and the cube like 3D gummies. But this is so funny, yeah, that they chose the gyoza shape, but not the flavor, but they chose the flavor from what Chinese food signs usually include, which is a peach, which is the sign of like good health, long life. So a very funny little cultural mashup. And so the other reason I picked these up is because I think it's funny, the relationship between Japan and China, like historically, is a little bit similar to how initially, like, America and maybe Australia, Canada, they kind of look at England. It's kind of a foundation of a lot of their culture and a lot of their technologies and things. So they have a respect for that, but I don't think that it goes the other way. I think, yeah, the just like England probably looks down on all of its colonies. I think China has the same sort of weird, like, oh, they're so weird, they're so crazy attitude towards Japan. But the interesting thing is, Chinese food has a very different position here than it does, say, in the U.S. because Chinese food was introduced by actual Chinese people for the most part in Japan, whereas in America, it was probably introduced more from Chinese immigrants that were working on the rail lines. So the cooks would be Chinese. And they would just chop up a bunch of vegetables and, like, fry them in a big wok or a big, skillet and do camp food. Basically they're trying to feed, like, 500 people or whatever. So they're doing army style or camp style cooking, but it's, Chinese from what they learned in China. So that became our concept, just like things thrown in a wok, vegetables and meat and just chopped up and covered in oil is our idea of Chinese cooking. But Japanese idea of Chinese cooking is more this, luxury, elegant food. So they like, the Peking duck and, shark fin soup and those sorts of more exotic, more expensive Chinese dishes. So the Showa, like my parents-in-law, they always think when we go out to a nice dinner, that Chinese dinner is better than Japanese expensive dinner, which it's not. Japanese, like, very expensive Japanese meals are the most incredible meals on the earth. But they very often want to go to Chinese because when they were kids, Chinese restaurants represented luxury and kind of an exoticism of a more elite version of Asian. So it's very interesting. And always this iconography, these kind of, like, very cliched kind of designs. So the Chinese, cheap kind of fast food was adapted in Japan as well. So, gyoza and fried rice and stuff are very common here. And so they have cheap Chinese food and expensive Chinese food. Whereas I think in America, it's mostly just cheap. It's Panda Express. It's the co-opted weird styles. So yeah, I thought that would be fun to talk about. And this was such an odd idea. I want to eat, I guess because maybe kids can't eat a lot of gyoza, or maybe they love gyoza, but then they love peach candy too. I don't know. But gyoza, mini gyoza, peach flavored candies. I thought was an odd combination, but they're very cute in design. So if you like the shape of your candies to be a certain cuteness, this pulls it off. All right. Nice. Yeah, sorry, dude. I shouldn't be talking about Chinese food. Yeah, the cheap Chinese food in Japan is really good. And it's so cheap. It's really hard to spend. Like, if someone gave you $100 and demanded that you spend it in one meal at, like, one of the cheap low-end Chinese restaurants in Japan, you couldn't do it. The food is so cheap, you would kill yourself before you could eat that much food. It's like that inexpensive. You usually spend like $10 at a time. So very affordable. All right, I still got a few minutes here. So let's make some JPEGs, right? All right, so they were all different artificial formulations of the concept of orange. That sounds like I've told that joke before. They were all varied. No, just go with different. Okay, look at that tiny JPEG that I said. All that work for that little tiny JPEG. Why? All right, let's put these in the right folder first. Yeah, so it's been forever since I've been streaming. So thanks everybody for showing up. I was worried I'm like killing my audience by not being able to, regularly be online. But thank you for hanging in there. It's much appreciated. The total lack of similarities must have been the joke. The banana joke. Of any similarity? I guess there is one similarity, kind of the shapes. I won't say any. Yeah, but things will get back to normal, and maybe I'll even come up with some new ideas on something to do with the channel. Now everything is resettled. So I knew that we had to move out of that space like 6 months ago. So it was kind of this impending doom. And now that it's all over, thankfully, I'll be able to get more focused. All right, let's try this here. Yep, the first 2 cartoons of May is what we did today. Cool. Yeah, so thank you so much. It was good to see Unknown Girl and Dude and everybody. Oh, yeah, I should do. Yeah, well, well, there's a lot of boxes still piled up. I still have some unpacking to do. But all the major stuff is connected. And yeah, well, definitely I'll show off the new digs. Yeah, you guys wouldn't believe how crowded it actually was in the old office, like how small it was. Oh, that's right, though. I used to have the traffic cam. Now we can do a traffic cam from like a much higher vantage point, although maybe it'll make it harder to see. I'll have to point it down. But that's right, I used to do a traffic cam when I streamed at the office. You guys could watch tiny Japanese cars drive by. And then you would know if you heard the loud, exhaust or something, you'd know if it was a motorcycle or a diesel truck or something going by. Dude says peach has a flavor. Yeah, right. Peach is a very nothing flavor, isn't it? Very light, just a light fruit flavor. Yeah, sorry, I'm making you guys crave all sorts of stuff. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. And thanks, Kane, for dropping by. Thanks for the question. Yeah, appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't rant on too long, and good to see Matt again. So Matt and I will be doing the stream for the weekly tomorrow, about a little bit earlier than this time. Yeah, probably closer to like 1 o'clock here. So yeah, what is that, like 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10 West Coast US time, Pacific time in the US, and similar to like 1 or 2 p.m. on this side of the world. So for Australia and all those places in the same longitude, only an hour or so difference depending. So excellent. So yeah, we'll get back to it and be online more regularly. And yeah, so take care, everyone, and I will see you next time. And if you're following the Upturned Table channel, I'll see you tomorrow. So Abusecartoons is the website, and gocomics.com/domestic abuse for the archive of this cartoon. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.